Let's continue to study Genesis chapter 1, verse 3 to 5. Today is the 18th part. We study on the verse 3 to 5 is one day process, right? One day process among the seventh day. So as I mentioned many times, one day is seventh day is one day, and then one day process is light begins to exist, which is the imperfect status. So when we get to the seventh day, that is the our salvation process, right? Our growing process. So when we become the seventh day, and then light exists as what status? Perfect status, right? Perfect status. So as a first Adam, and what is the perfect status? Light or darkness? Darkness and night is the perfect status, isn't it? And then as day by day, the light is growing, because Christos Jesus is the true light. So that is the light process we learned so far on the one day. Today is actually the last part of the Hebrew text that we are going to study. And evening exists. So what status existing? Imperfect status, right? So evening exists in perfect status, and one day morning exists. That is also imperfect status. Let's go to look at the Translate Bible first. 1:5. And New King James says like this: God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. So the evening and the morning were the first day. And then King James also say first day, right? First day. But as you look at the number here, the Hebrew word pronunciation is echad. Echad. Echad means one. As we look at the parsing code, ANCMS. A is the adjective, N is the number. So number is the part of speech, is the adjective. And then the third one, C, means cardinal number. So we know ordinal number in English is first, second, third, fourth, etc., right? That is the ordinal number. But echad is cardinal number, which means 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. And then in Hebrew language, there is an ordinal number, which means lishon. Lishon. I would like to quick showing to you the Hebrew word that says the first, right? When we go to the Joshua 2:10, Joshua 21:10, here it says, which were for the children of Aaron, one of the families of the Kohathites, who were of the children of Levi, for the Lot was their first. Look at the first. First is Lishon. Lishon is the ordinal number, that means first. But Echad is not first. Echad is one, right? So go back to the 1:5. So the part we are going to study today is this part, right? And then I'm going to read Hebrew and then translate. By he. So CW, which is a verb conjunction, which is a verb, right? Ve. So and, right? So English translate and. That is correct, right? Haya verb is exists, right? Which is a be verb, okay? And then the haya is the yehi, which means car verb, right? Car verb is simple active voice, right? Simple active voice. And then imperfect, masculine third person singular. The subject is the masculine third person singular. So do we have a masculine third person singular as a subject? It's right there, right? Erev. Erev. Erev is the noun masculine singular, which is the subject of haya verb, right? But there's no determiner, so we have to delete one. The, right? So evening is the subject. So evening exists, right? Exists what status? Imperfect status, right? Evening exists imperfect status. But why do they say so the? Because it's a conjunction verb, it's just and. So New King James is better than New King James, isn't it? Right? So and evening exists imperfect status. Okay? And then by he, same thing, right? Same thing. Conjunction verb, right? So and then they said the morning, but there is morning, there is no determiner, as you see here. Boker. Boker is noun masculine singular, which is the subject of haya, right? Haya. So there's no such determiner, which is a definite article. No definite article here, right? So just morning, morning. But yom ehad, this is the adjective. So what is the function of adjective? Adjective modifies to noun, isn't it? Right? Like an apple is the noun. Red, apple. Red is adjective, right? Green, apple, etc. Right? So yom ehad is itself is what? One day. There's no such the, right? And then this has to be dropped either, right? There's no definite article. Okay? So ehad yom, one day morning. One day morning exists. What status? Imperfect status, right? So correct Hebrew literal translation from Hebrew to English is evening exists imperfect, one day morning exists imperfect. Okay? So it's not the first day. And then I looked through a lot of English Bible, okay? See if who translate at least the cardinal number ehad. Okay? Let's look at the ASV. They say one day, at least one day, right? Ehad yom, translate correct way, right? And ASB, one day, pretty good, isn't it? Okay? And then RSV, one day, pretty good, right? So far, so good. And then NRSV is what? The first day, right? Even they put the determiner, definite article, and using the ordinal number, right? So wrong translation, right? And then King James. We go to King James. The first day, wrong, right? Just one day, right? Yom Echad is one day, right? New King James, the first day. Wrong translation, right? NIV, the first day. Again. Darby, the first day. Wrong, right? And then YLT, a morning day one, right? So at least one, right? They translate correct way, right? BBE, the first day. So as we look at the Old English Bible, Echad, some of them translate one, and some of them translate first. Okay? But Hebrew Bible is, Echad is one, right? One day. That's why when we go to the New Testament Peter, one day is 1,000 years, right? 1,000 years is one day. So 1,000 means human nature. Year is transformation in Hebrew word meaning, right? So our human nature transformed to become the God's nature. That means 1,000 years, right? That is what process? One day process. One day process. Okay? So it's the one day, not the first day. Okay? But as we look at here, we already studied. He begin to kara, invite Elohim. He begin to imperfect status. He invite imperfect status. He invite what? Yom, right? Day. And then layom is what? You know, they put the light, but as you look at the parsing code, PD, right? P is the preposition. They don't use the preposition. Le is the preposition for. So D is the determiner, right? Definite article. So not the light, for the light. So for the light, they invite imperfect status, right? But what about the darkness, night? Night is what? Kara, which is a car verb, perfect status. So night is already invited for the darkness, not the dark, and for, right? Le is a P, preposition, right? So the first status is what is perfected? Night is perfected, right? Night. And then as go 1 day, 2nd day, 3rd day, and when you become the 7th day, and then it becomes what? Day, right? That's why 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 3 is talking about sons of light, sons of day, right? No darkness, no night. That's what it called. So in order to do that, 1 day roll over to 2nd day, 3rd day until 7th day. That's what it means. So go to our sermon note. So evening exists in perfect status. Then we need to find out what is the evening means, right? Evening means. So without having the word study about evening means, evening is evening, isn't it? Right? So when sun goes down, and we call the evening, right? So only that kind of concept. But when we look at the word study concept, then we understand what the evening means, right? So let's look at that. So evening in the Hebrew, the strong number 6153. How do you pronounce? Erev, right? Erev, which is right here. Erev. Erev translated as evening. Okay? And then it's the masculine noun. Erev is masculine noun. And then the dictionary says dusk, evening, night. So it translates in that way. Okay? 6153, we can quick check with the dictionary. 6153. Okay? You see Erev, dusk. And then King James, they translate it as plus day, right? Plus day. And then evening, eventide. Even they say night. We just saw what is the night means? Laila is night, isn't it? Erev is not night, right? What is the day? In Hebrew word? Yom, right? Yom is day. But even King James translated Erev as a day or night, which is nonsense, isn't it? Okay? Are they even looking at the dictionary then? Because dictionary does not match with the content, isn't it? Right? And then we can go to not only the Michelson, but also BDB dictionary, Erev. Erev, evening, night, sunset, right? So they translate in that way. Some place, evening, some place, sunset, some place, night. In that way, right? So they are only understood as the just external, physical environment, right? Understand the Erev as the evening, night, right? But in order to understand, we need to look at the all or word, right? Our study is, we see one noun. Then we need to look at that noun is what? Either masculine, feminine, right? And in case of Hebrew, in case of Greek, not only masculine, feminine, there is what? Neuter noun too, right? We need to look at all those nouns and look at all genders, right? And then when there is the noun, not only we look at the noun, we also need to find out what? What is the verb, right? What is the adjective form? What is the participle form? What is the infinitive form? We need to study all those things, right? In order to understand one word. Okay? Without doing that, study Bible, Greek, and Hebrew, nothing different from just rely on the English Bible. What makes it different, isn't it? Make sense? That's why in order to understand the Bible, we need to look all related word. Without looking at it, the Bible cannot understand clearly. That's why I put a lot of these related word here. Okay? And I look at the verb, I look at the same masculine, and I look at another masculine, I look at the feminine. Feminine now. So we need to look all those words in order to understand Erev, which means evening, dusk, night, when dictionary says. So Erev comes from three different words. Okay? And as I mentioned before, in the Hebrew text, there was no such vowel existing, isn't it? Who invented the vowel mark? Masoretes, right? Who is the Masoretes scholar, right? Mm-hmm. That is way after Christos Jesus was born, which was the 4th and 5th century. After Christos Jesus, 400 to 500 years. That time, it called the Nikudat. Vowel mark called the Nikudat. And they using those Nikudat, dash and dot. So people getting loose how to pronounce the Hebrew word. So they using the Nikudat to pronounce. Before that, the Hebrew word itself is all consist of noun. All consist of consonant. That's why you see consonant is all same, isn't it? Right? And this hey is to make the feminine, right? So all consonant is the same. So same consonant means same concept, right? Same concept. That's the very important point that we understand the Hebrew text. So the verb, Aramaic word, how do you pronounce? Ah sound, right? So Arab. Arab means to mix, join together. Aha! From this one we can know, aha, evening means something needs to be mixed, right? Something or someone mixed, right? And then join together. Ah, that's the meaning of the evening means, right? Mm-hmm. And then 6150, how do you pronounce? Arab. Same thing, right? Arab, but this R is the long R sound, isn't it? Open R, right? So kametz and padach, right? Mm-hmm. Which means to become evening and grow dark. Obviously, when evening comes, it grows dark, right? Mm-hmm. It grows dark. And then 6148, the verb, same pronunciation with the 6150, right? So Arab, same thing, right? So that means to braid, right? To braid, i.e. intermix. So same concept, isn't it? With the Aramaic or the 6150, intermix, mixed, right? Intermix. And then traffic. Traffic means as if by barter. Do you know the barter means? Exchange, right? Before the money or coins invented, money system, right? And then market system is what system? Barter, right? I give you rice, you gave me meat, right? So we are exchanging with each other, right? So evening is intermix and then exchange, right? Exchange. And then give to be security as kind of exchange, right? You need to using the give to be security, right? Which means without trust with each other, how can we exchange, right? Exchange. So nowadays, we do a lot of the international trade between the countries, isn't it? Right? Have you heard about LC? LC, letter of credit? Okay. Because my major was the international trade and business management, so I'm very good at the LC, letter of credit, which means there is an exporter here, and there's an importer here, right? So importer is the manufacturer, right? To make certain product, right? Importer. I'm sorry, the importer is the one who's buying, right? Buying the product, right? And then exporter is the one, manufacturer, right? Who produce certain product, isn't it, right? Okay? So, you know, this product comes from the overseas. Okay? Let's say importer is USA, and then exporter is Korea, for example, right? So Korea send the let's say Samsung Galaxy smartphone, right? For example. So the importer USA order 100 smartphone, okay? And then the exporter receive the order through email. Hey, send me 100 smartphone to United States certain address, right? So in order for the exporter manufacturer sending 100 smartphone, they need to making smartphone at the factory, isn't it? Right? And then how can the exporter send the smartphone without receiving the money? Make sense? So the importer does not send the money directly. Okay? They send the letter of credit, like I just said, letter of credit, which means the bank says, don't worry about the money. In case of importer does not pay you money, I as a bank, I will make sure we pay you. That shows the letter of credit, which is what? Security, right? When you rent a house, you need to do what? Security deposit, isn't it? Right? In case of you fail to pay on time, and they hold the security deposit, and then they will deduct it from the security deposit, isn't it? So those kind of concepts give to be security. Okay? So evening means you give to the security. Security. Okay? And then intermix traffic. So what the evening means is then exchange, barter, give to be security. Which is the evening is the learning process. And teacher is the what? Exporter, right? Student is what? Learner is what? Importer, right? Importer. Okay? So teacher give you knowledge. Okay? Then you give to security, right? You need to, what is the security to the learner then? Trust and believe, right? Make sense? When you receive the knowledge, you need to show, amen, right? I believe. Because that is true. That is not the false. Make sense? So evening is the mix, joined together with the teacher and student joined together, and then get the knowledge with it, right? And then you show the trust, you show the belief, you show the faith. Okay? That's the evening process. Evening process. And then 6154, Erev. That's the masculine noun, same as this one, right? Same as this one, Erev. Erev means oof, mixture. Same thing, we do mixture, intermix, mix, right? And then 6158, how do you pronounce 6158? Oreb, right? This is a Hollenbach, right? So O sound, right? So Oreb. Oreb means a raven, raven, which means as black in color, right? Raven. Raven is dark color, isn't it? Right? Black color, right? So that is the raven, raven. So from the 1 day to the 6th day, 6th day. So evening, morning, evening, morning, evening, morning, right? So from the 1 day to 6th day, what is the, who's delivering the knowledge? The raven delivering the knowledge. That's why when Christos Jesus immediately from the water, okay, at the Jordan River, what show up? Is it raven show up or dove show up? Dove show up, dove. 6th day is the time of dove show up. But 1 day through 5th day, what is show up? The raven is show up. Okay? Raven deliver the message to the deliver the message, right? So where is it that we can go to the Psalm, one of the example, Psalm 19. To the chief musician of Psalm of David, the heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament shows his work. Day unto day utter speech, night unto night reveals knowledge. Right? So he keep delivering the what knowledge? Night knowledge. Who? Raven, right? Raven. That's why when we go to the Genesis, the time of Noah, what happened? He sent out the raven, right? See if there is a water has decreased or not on the land, right? So raven comes out, he comes back, right? But he sent out the dove. And did the dove comes back or dove did not comes back? The dove did not comes back, right? And dove just said what? There is a green leaf right, on there, right? Which means the land is dried, right? So what day is the land dried? Until the 5th day, the earth is under the water, right? So like I just mentioned, Christos Jesus up from the water, right? Which is the 6th day. 6th day is the dry land time, right? Dry land time. So raven delivered the message, right? Night unto night. Revealed on those knowledge, right? And then 6160, how do you pronounce? Araba. Araba, right? Araba means desert. Araba. Araba. So the pronunciation itself, Arab, Arab, Araba. It looks like Arab. The country Arab, right? Like a Saudi Arabia, Arab, right? Arab. Arab. So it's a desert. Araba. That's why historically, you know the Arab trader? They are taking the camel, go to all of the places, you know, go through the Silk Road, right? Silk Road. From the China to the European country, right? They are going to all of the places for trading. Trading. So they purchase the green tea. They purchase the silk from China, right? And they purchase the pottery from China, right? And then sell to where? Sell to the Europe, right? Sell to the Europe. So they are famous for Arab trading, exporting, importing, right? That's what they do. They are deliverer, right? They are delivery men, right? So barter, intermix. So they are doing evening, right? Evening. Okay. So those meaning is the 9 means. So then let's look at the Bible verses, how evening and on those words is used. Okay. On the Erev, let's go to I just write it down here 3 different verses. Let's go to the Exodus 29:39. Let's start from the 36. And you shall offer a bull every day as a sin offering for atonement. You shall cleanse the altar when you make atonement for it, and you shall anoint it to sanctify it. 7 days you shall make atonement for the altar and sanctify it, and the altar shall be most holy. Whatever touches the altar must be holy. Now this is what you shall offer on the altar: 2 lambs of the first year, day by day, continually, right? 1 lamb you shall offer in the morning, and the other lamb you shall offer at twilight. So look at the twilight. Evening, isn't it? Erev, right? Erev. So 1 lamb you shall offer, right? 1 lamb you shall offer. Look at the 1. Echad, the same thing, right? 1 day. It's not the first, isn't it? So they translate 1 correctly here. Why not in Genesis 1:5? It has to be the same, isn't it? Makes sense? So it's the 1, not the first. So 1 lamb, right? Hakebesh, Hakebes, Hakebes, Hakebes ehad. So the 1 lamb from the beginning to the end, et process, right? Whole process, right? 1 lamb, asa. What is asa means? Do, make, asa, right? So 1 lamb, whole 1 lamb, you, second person singular, you do, correct, bakoker, right? This is a bo, right? Boker, which means boker, in the morning, right? In the morning. Okay. And be'et, hakebets, same thing, right? The lamb, whole lamb, beginning lamb, finish, top lamb, right? Hasheni, is it? Hasheni is the other. What is Hasheni? This is an ordinal number, right? Sheni, I just say that, right? Number 2, or year, right? Sheni is transform, which is second. Not other lamb, second lamb, right? Second lamb. What is a second means? Sheni means change, right? Transformation, right? Transformation. Okay? So transformation, alteration lamb, right? Alteration lamb. Okay? And then asa, same thing, right? Doing. Pen. What is pen? Is it pen is at? We learn the pen, right? Understand the light, understand the darkness, right? Pen is the darkness. Pen is the understand, isn't it? Okay? 996, we already learned about that. Okay? Pen, right? They said between, among, but this one is what? Because pen is what? Understand, right? Understand. Distinguish. Understand, right? So it's not at. Understand. Understand the erev, right? And then the plural form, right? Ha eribaim, right? Eribaim, which is erev. So evening ministry, right? Understand evening ministry, you do, right? So evening ministry is the one you can do what? Sheni kebesh. So evening is the time what? Transform, right? Evening is the time to transform. Evening is the time, learning time. I just said that, right? Evening time is you give the security, which means you need to show your trust. Show your trust when you hear the word of God. Okay? That is the evening time. So then evening time is the teaching time or study time. Teaching time or study time. Intermix, right? Exchange, right? It's the learning time. Learning time. Evening is the learning time. Evening is the student time. So you bring all different type of text. You mixed and you practice. And then you are preview that you learn from when? Morning time. Morning time is the practice time. And then evening time is the review time, study time, research time. Okay? So by research and study, you as a kebes, you as a lamb, by learning, you are change. You are alteration. You are transforming to become a children of God. It starts from the 1 day, 2nd day, 3rd day, 4th day, until 6th day, keep what? Evening begins to exist. Imperfect, right? You still keep learning process, right? By learning, what happened? Sheni, right? Sheni, which is a transformation. I would like to show it to you. 8145. It's not other. 8145. 8145. So Sheni, they second again another other, but this is a number. It goes from Shana, which is duplicate, double, transmit, transform, alter. Alteration, changing, transmitting. Okay? So that takes how many years? 1,000 years, right? 1,000 years. So year is the same, comes from the Sheni, Shena, same verb. Okay? So the evening time is, evening ministry is for what? For transformation, right? For alteration, for changing, until you become the sons of light, sons of day. You keep exchanging the knowledge, right? Between teacher and yourself. That's the what time? Evening time. Evening time. Make sense? Let's go to Leviticus 15:5. So it shows until 27 about evening. So we can quick looking at it. 15:5 Leviticus. We start from 1 any of it. And the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, when any man has discharge from his body, his discharge is unclean. And this shall be his uncleanness in regards to his discharge, whether his body runs with his discharge or his body is stopped up by his discharge, it is his uncleanness. Every bed is unclean on which he who has the discharge lies, and everything on which he sits shall be unclean. And whoever touches his bed, 5, right? Whoever touches his bed shall wash his clothes and bathe in water and be unclean until evening, right? Until evening, right? Ad, ha, areb, ereb, right? So, unclean, tameh, right? Unclean until what? Evening, right? So, evening is the time you make it what? Clean, right? From the evening. By learning. By receiving the new knowledge, right? By understanding the Word of God. And your body is getting start to clean, right? Clean. So until evening, unclean, right? He who sits on anything on which he has the discharge set shall wash his clothes and bathe in water. Water is word, right? Word is water, right? We already learned that. And be unclean until evening, right? So throughout the whole entire Leviticus 15, it says, until evening, until evening. Unclean until evening. And he who touched the body of him who has the discharge shall wash his clothes and bathe in water and be unclean until evening, right? If he who has the discharge spits on him who is clean, then he shall wash his clothes and bathe in water and be unclean until evening, right? So bathe in water, right? Bathe in the Word of God, right? And any saddle on which he who has the discharge ride shall be unclean. Whoever touches anything that was under him shall be unclean until, he keeps saying that throughout whole entire chapter 15. Okay? When we go to the John chapter 13, what happened? Christos Jesus cleaned the disciples' living spirit, right? And then the Christos Jesus says, let's quick go there, John chapter 13. Now before the feast of the Passover, when Jesus knew that his hour had come, he should depart from this world to the Father, having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. He said to the end. Okay? He loved them to the end. What it says here? Eis telos, egapesen autos. Is that to the end? Eis into telos, right? What is telos? Christos Jesus says, I am the Alpha, Omega, right? Protos, telos, right? Arche, telos, right? Arche, telos, right? Beginning, end, right? Telos. Telos is a completion. You become a perfect man, which means you become the last Adam, right? So Christos Jesus love disciple living so they can become one with who? Who is the telos? Christos Jesus is the telos. To become one with Christos Jesus. And keep coming down. 4, rose from supper and laid aside his garment, took a towel and girded himself. After that he poured water into a basin, began to wash the disciples' feet, to wipe them with a towel with which he was girded. Then he came to Simon Water, and Peter said to him, Lord, are you washing my feet? Jesus answered and said to him, what I am doing you do not understand now, but you will know after this. And Peter said to him, you shall never wash my feet. Jesus answered him, if I do not wash you, you have no part with me. And then verse 9, Simon Peter said to him, Lord, not my feet only, but also hands and my head. 10, Jesus said to Peter, he who is bathed needs only to wash his feet, but it is completely clean, and you are clean, but not all of you. Not all of you. Okay? So all disciple living becomes clean. Like we just learned from the Leviticus chapter 15 says, bathe in what? Bathe in water, right? Water. So water is the word. The word was chrema, right? When we go to the Ephesians, it says, we all clean through chrema word, right? Chrema word. But Christos Jesus just says, he who is bathed, he who become clean through the word of water, through the knowledge of God that comes from the Christos Jesus, only needs to wash his feet, right? Why does he needs to wash his feet only? What happened on the feet? What happened on the feet? The dust is sticking on the feet, isn't it? Right? What is the dust? Dust. He only needs to wash feet, right? Because when we go to the Matthew chapter 10, Christos Jesus appointed the 12 disciples and sent them to the practice what they learn, right? And then we keep coming down here. And 11, now whatever city or town you enter, inquire who in it is worthy and stay there till you go out. And when you go into a household, greet it. If the household is worthy, let your peace come upon it. But if it is not worthy, let your peace return to you. And whoever will not receive you, nor hear your word, when you depart from the house or city, shake up the what? Dust from your feet, right? So we know the dust when we go to the Genesis chapter 2 verse 7, and then the first Adam is formed apart, dust, right? Out of the ground, which is Ha-Adamah, right? So who is the dust? Dust is the first Adam, isn't it? And then when we go to the Genesis chapter 3, and then who eat this dust? The serpent, Satan eat this dust, right? So the Jehovah cursed the serpent, and he say, your food is what? Dust, which is a nephesh haya. All first Adam, beast, animal, and everything is nephesh haya, right? Which is the breathing creature, right? Breathing, living creature. They are all needs to be eaten by serpent. Serpent's food is those apart, dust, right? So that's why your feet, you as a disciple, you have a beautiful feet, right? When we go to the Romans chapter 10, it say there, right? Romans chapter 10, coming down. And how shall they preach unless they are sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of those, right? The preacher's feet. The gospel of peace. So preacher's feet is the one that preach the gospel of peace. So preacher is the deliverer, isn't it? From the heaven, right? Coming down from the heaven and then delivering the pizza delivery man, like I mentioned before, right? Delivering the gospel of peace, right? And during those processes, we look at the Matthew chapter 10, what happened? People who does not accept the gospel of peace and shake up the dust out of your feet, right? So that's why they need to clean their feet all the time, isn't it? Once your body become all clean, only thing you need to wash what? The feet, right? Take the dust of your feet, right? That's what Christos Jesus says. So those are the what? Evening process, right? Evening process. So you are unclean until evening, right? Evening. And then evening process by learning, by practicing, by reviewing what you learn. And show your faith to the God, right? And then it'll be clean, right? So evening time is what time then? Clean the dust from your feet time, right? Makes sense? And then morning time is what? Delivering the gospel of peace, right? Gospel of peace. So morning, we're going to look at morning anyhow, but morning time is what? Cattle tender, right? You plow, right? You plow, right? So you are inquiring, making search morning time, right? Which is apply, practice what you learn in the evening time. Make sense? That's the meaning of morning and evening. Okay? Let's look at the last one about the evening. Zechariah 14:7. Let's look at the verse 6. Start from 6. It shall come to pass in that day that there will be no light. The lights will be diminished. So that time is the Lord's of the day. And then verse 7. It shall be one day which is known to the Lord, neither day nor night. So still what? In mixed, right? In mixed. Neither day nor night, right? Day and night is still mixed, right? Unclear, right? Unclear. So when is the clear? When is the veil lifted? When we read the Moses, the veil still remains, right? In the Corinthians say that, right? But the Lord is a spirit. When we receive the Spirit of the Lord, which is a Kerema word, when we understand the light and understand the darkness, then the veil will be lifted, right? But still here, neither day nor night, not clear yet. But at evening time, it shall be happen, then it will be light. It will be light. Okay? Let's look at the Erev, evening, right? So let, for, at. So evening, right? Evening, light begin to exist, right? So evening time, when you study, when you review, so light begin to exist time, right? Because as you receive the knowledge from the teacher, from the Christos Jesus, the wisdom of God, the power of God, then you apply to yourself and you study yourself, you review yourself, and then light begins to exist, right? Light begins to exist time. And then verse 8, and in that day it shall be that living water shall flow from Jerusalem, right? What is the Jerusalem means? Peaceful teaching, right? So when we go to the Revelation chapter 22, from the throne of God and the Lamb, the living water comes from there, right? And then when we go to the John chapter 6, so the believer's belly, what comes out from the believer's belly? Living water, right? Living water. So Jerusalem, Garden of Eden, and then believer's belly is all same. Jerusalem, right? Jerusalem. Peaceful teaching is in believer's belly, right? Half of them towards the eastern sea, and half of them towards the western sea. In both summer and winter, it shall come occur. Winter it shall occur, and the Lord shall be king over the earth. In that day it shall be the Lord is one, and his name one. And the land shall be turned into a plain from Geba to Rimmon, south of Jerusalem. Jerusalem shall be raised up and inhabited in her place, from Benjamin's gate to the place of the first gate, and the corner gate, and from the tower of Hannael, and to the king's winepress. So those are the one talking about the happening one? Nighttime, the evening time, and then light begins to exist. Light begins to exist. So those are the one, Erev. And then let's look through the rest of the verses, those relate to what, and mix together, join together. Daniel 2:41, And then Daniel is explaining what the king's dream, right? About king's dream, right? And whereas you is the king, king saw the feet and toes partly of potter's clay and partly of iron. The kingdom shall be divided, yet the strength of the iron shall be in it. Just as you saw the iron mixed with ceramic clay, right? Ceramic clay. So here it says mixed, right? Mixed. Arab, right? Mixed. Arab. So here it says mixed with what? Clay. Mixed with clay. Iron mixed with clay, right? Iron mixed with clay. So those whole idol start from the king's head, right? King's head is the gold, right? And then silver, right? And then bronze, right? And then clay and iron mixed, right? And then what happened? And we keep saying 42, and as the toes of feet were partly iron, partly of clay, right? So this iron is talking about the Roman, isn't it? Roman Empire, right? And then this clay is talking about what? Edom, King Edom. Edom comes from Adam, who is the Herod when Christus Jesus was born, right? And then partly of clay. So the kingdom shall be partly strong and partially fragile. As you saw, iron mixed with ceramic clay, mixed, right? So evening time is what? Mixed time, right? Ceramic clay, they will mingle with the seed of man, but they will not adhere to one another, just as iron does not mix with clay. And in the days of these kings, the God of heaven will set up kingdom which shall never be destroyed. Talking about what kingdom? Kingdom of heaven living, right? As Christus Jesus come, right? And the kingdom shall not be left to other people. It shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. Inasmuch as you saw that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, that it broke in pieces the iron and bronze, the clay, silver, and the gold, the great God has made known to the king. What will come to pass after this, the dream is certain, and its interpretation is sure. So what is this one? This one, the stone, the living stone, who is Christus Jesus, right? And Christus Jesus will destroy the whole idol stature, right? So it is mixed with clay, mixed. So mixed knowledge will be getting clear and clear and clear. As you study, review, and learn, you give the trust to the Word of God. So we just saw from the Zechariah, and then evening time is the time what? Light begins to existing time, isn't it? Right? So evening time has to come to us, which means study time has to exist in us, right? So those mixed knowledge needs to be more clear, right? Makes sense? So that's the evening time. That's the evening time. And then to become evening, we just skip that. I would like to just go to those highlight portion. And then the 6148, those intermix, traffic give to security. Let's go to the Proverbs 6:1. My son, if you become surety for your friend, if you have a shaken hand in pledge for a stranger. You see here, surety, which is a security, right? Surety, Arab, right? My son, if you become surety, right? You are snared by the word of your mouth. You are taken by the word of your mouth. So do this, my son, and deliver yourself, for you have come into the hand of your friend. Go and humble yourself. Plead with your friend, right? Plead your friend. So you give the trust, right? You give the surety, right? You give the security, right? Security. So those are the what? Evening means, right? Evening means. You show your trust. You show your faith to the Word of God. Make sense? And then the oof mixture, we can go Nehemiah 13:3. Nehemiah 13:3. What is the Nehemiah in Korean Bible? Nehemiah. Nehemiah, right? Nehemiah. And 13:3, right? Okay, we can start from 1. On that day, they read from the book of Moses in the hearing of the people. And then in it was found written that no Ammonite or Moabite should ever come into the assembly of God, because they had not met the children of Israel with bread and water, but hired Balaam against them to curse them. However, our God turned the curse into a blessing. So it was when they had heard the law, they had separated all the mixed multitude from Israel. So it should be mixed, right? Erev, right? Erev. So mixed multitude, you separate it, right? So evening time is to make it clear, right? Light begin to exist, right? The knowledge of God is getting clear and clear time, right? By study the Word of God. By accepting the Word of God. Provide the security, surety, right? Give your trust on the Word of God. That is the evening time. Okay? And then the raven. Let's go to, I was mentioned about raven in the days of Noah. Let's go to the Genesis 8:7. We start from quickly 1. Then God remembered Noah and every living thing and all the animals that were with him in the ark. And God made the wind to pass over the earth, and the water subsided. The fountain of the deep and the windows of heaven were also stopped, and the rain from heaven was restrained. And the water receded continually from the earth. At the end of the 150 days, the water decreased. Then the ark rested in the 7th month, the 17th day of the month, on the mountains of Ararat. And the water decreased continually until the 10th month. In the 10th month, on the 4th day of the month, the tops of the mountains were seen. So it came to pass at the end of the 40 days, and Noah opened the window of the ark, which he had made. And 7, right? Then he sent out the raven. Evening, right? He sent out the evening, right? He sent out the mix. He sent out the barter, right? He sent out the security, okay? So all those things, okay? Remember, okay? Not just take it as the bird raven, okay? So evening means, right? He sent out evening raven, which kept going to and fro until the water has dried up from the earth. So which is what? 1 day through 5th day under the water, right? So we can save them, right? Through the what? Fish hook from the water, right? And then verse 8, he also sent up from himself a dove, right? Dove show up 6th day, right? To see if the water has receded from the face of the ground. Okay? But the dove found no resting place for the sole of her foot. She returned into ark to him, for the water were on the face of the whole earth. So he put out his hand and then took her and drew her into the ark to himself. And he waited yet another 7 days. Again he sent the dove out from the ark. Then the dove came to him in the evening. Same thing, evening, Erev, right? And then behold, the freshly plucked olive leaf was in her mouth. And Noah knew that the water had receded from the earth. And he waited another 7 days. So we go what? 7 days, 7 days, 7 days, right? 3 means what? Intensified, 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 right? And 7 days, and sent out the dove, which did not return it again, right? No return to him anymore. That means what? All land is, the water is dried up, right? Dried up. So raven is the keep back and forth, right? Because the water is not dried up. when water dry up, it dove show up and 3 times, right? And then does not return. So dove is erev, right? Erev. And then raven. Not dove is not erev. The raven is erev, right? Erev. Back and forth. Mixed knowledge, right? Mixed. Intermixed. Traffic, right? Traffic. Last one we are going to look is the desert, Arabah, Deuteronomy chapter 1 verse 1. These are the words which Moses spoke to all Israel on the side of the Jordan in the wilderness, in the plain opposite Suf, between Paran, Topel, Laban, Hezroth, and Disahab. Okay, so you see the Arab. You see the Arabah, right? So they translate in the plain, right? In Arabah, in desert, right? In desert, Arabah. Okay. So which is same as the evening means, right? So evening time is exchange, right? Exchange. Mixed knowledge getting clearer, right? And then verse 2, it is the 11th day, journey from Horeb by the way of mountain, sail to Kadesh Barnea. Okay? So he keeps saying that. So the Deuteronomy chapter 1 verse 1, they translate in the plain, right? In the plain means what? In the wilderness, right? Wilderness, you need to go through the evening time, right? Exchange the knowledge, right? And then you need to study, right? Okay? Arrange the knowledge of God. Arrange the midbar is what? Tabar, right? Arrange wilderness, right? Arrange your knowledge, right? By receiving the word of God. So those are the evening means. Okay? So from the one day you learn. You learn what? Understand the light, understand the darkness, right? Which is the light is the imperfect status. So you are exchanging on one day, right? So what you learn, you need to make your knowledge, right? You need to make it possession that knowledge, right? By showing security, right? By showing your faith, by showing your understanding, right? And then that knowledge that you're receiving on one day, you need to make your own possession. Make sense? That's the evening process. And then next week we are going to study the morning process.